It's time for Mail Call Thursday.
Oh boy, I love talking to the people.
The people. No one's a bigger friend of the people than JP.
That's true.
I'm Justin.
And I'm JP.
And we are the Podcasting Dead. If you listen to us regularly, then you know the deal. You know who we are, what we're about. If you randomly found this on the internet, then welcome. Please stay. We're going to answer some questions from our listeners, and hopefully you will become a listener, and you can ask us your own question on the next mail call. Also, too, before we begin, let's just start this thing out with a birthday shout-out to a very young listener. Well, I say very young. I don't know exactly how young he is, but is the son of Caitlin Howard, longtime listener, and his name is Tank. So, Tank, happy birthday. Thank you so much for listening. I'm sorry for anything you get in trouble for repeating that we say, but we hope you have a happy birthday, bud, and thank you so much for listening.
Shout out to you, Tank. Shout out to you. Birthday shout out. Got a shout out here. Birthday shout out to Tank.
Birthday shout out to Tank. So I hope it's awesome. And Caitlin and Tank, thank you so much for being the longtime listeners that you have been. So JP, let's get this thing going. JP's got our mail call questions. Also, keep it locked in because afterwards we're going to give social media info and we'll talk a little bit about the Patreon. And I want to start something. I was talking to our buddy Alex Jimenez. Mm-hmm. I think it was Alex Jimenez. I'm pretty sure it was Alex Jimenez. It was a late, man. My baby was not feeling good last night. Ew. So I was like responding to messages while holding a screaming baby. But I think what we'll start doing until we get to the point where we have, so if we got to the point we had too many where we couldn't, we'll start doing Patreon shout outs as an incentive. If you join our Patreon, no matter what level, we'll give you a shout out at the end of a Patreon shout out at the end of each podcast.
Yeah, so, we had been doing that like when we first started getting them, but I guess and
that's what I was telling him. I was like, well, I think JP did used to do that, but you're right. I think we have kind of fallen off here in the last few weeks. So yeah, we'll just make sure we throw in. So if you join our Patreon, you'll get a shout out pretty much every podcast until we get so many that we can't really shout them out anymore, in which case we'll start doing new patron shout outs because I would love for that to be the problem. Oh man, we got too many patrons to list them all, so then we'll turn it into like a new patron shout out. But anyways, JP, let's go. Let's get some of these mail call questions.
All right, Brand McCann, 5 days ago. Hey guys, Justin, did people always suggest that you had the perfect voice for radio?
Yes, like I'm not even. I know that's. I saw that and I almost hated to answer it because I didn't want to sound arrogant. But yes, I remember being at a Subway. I worked at Subway for 3.5 years in like high school, and I remember a woman came in from a church or something, and she was like, "What are you gonna do when you get out of high school?" And I was like, "I don't know, might work on cars or something." And she was like, "You should do radio. You've got the perfect voice for it." And you know, I've been places where I meet somebody and they go, "Oh, I knew you were in radio the second I could just hear it in the voice." So yeah, and I still get it from people that don't know that I'm in radio. Like I'll go to Ocean Lakes and somebody will mention it and my girlfriend rolls her eyes and I'm like, "Yeah, I do radio." Yeah. JP doesn't like that.
Huh?
You look very unhappy.
I'm sorry. No, I was thinking of something else. I kind of zoned out.
We had our old pal Matty D and I one time went to, I had the same thing with him and our old pal Josh. One event we went to for a Harley Davidson dealer. We were doing we were giving away a Harley Davidson for the radio station, and we walked in. The guy greeted myself and Matt. You know, Matt's a personality on the station too. And the guy looked at me and was like, "I'll tell you what, man, you got," because I had just said, "Hey, how you doing?" or something. He was like, "I'm going to tell you what, I know you're on radio. You got the voice for it." And he didn't say nothing to Matt, which Matt has a great voice, you know.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Matt's like, "Well, me too," you know. And then my buddy Josh and I went somewhere and somebody made the same comment. And Josh was like, it's funny because Josh has a good sense of humor. And when they walked away, Josh kicked the dirt and was like, "I want you to tell me I have a good radio voice too."
Yeah.
But so, yeah, it is something I've been told a while. It's like one of the only compliments I ever get in life.
It's good when you fall into the right niche for you, you know, because there's so many people working at Dairy Queen that, you know, somebody would be like, you know, you got a great voice for radio, but you know good and well they're never going to be on the radio.
It's a lot of people. I've been places and I don't even tell them I'm in radio. I try to pass that sentiment along. I don't try to be like, "Oh, I'm in radio, so I know what a good radio voice is," but I'll hear them say something. I'm like, "Man, have you ever thought about doing radio? You've got a great voice." And they're like, "No, not really. I've heard that my whole life." I'm like, "Go do it."
Yeah, why not?
Try to pass along the good sentiment.
All right, Brianne McCann goes on to say, "JP, worst sexual encounter for you ever, and don't hold back on me."
Oh boy, Caitlin, cover Tank's ears.
Let's see. Well, I got kind of a little bit shat on in the back seat of a what was it, like a Ford Escort? Maybe?
Are you kidding me?
I mean, it wasn't like a big old pop, but yeah, there was some anal leakage, and it wasn't like any anal activity going on, which is the weird.
Oh
thing.
my God, are you serious?
Yeah, man, that was like an early one. That was like my college days, and there was another time my best friend at the time, he had a Ford, like what was a Ford? It doesn't matter. It's like a station wagon.
All we know is bad things happen in Fords, right?
Yeah, It was a Ford Focus station wagon, and we got two girls in the car with us. And it's funny because in high school we both had a huge crush on this girl, Grace Lauren, and both of us struck out with her. But then we pick up these girls at a stoplight one night, and one was named Grace, the other named Lauren, and I'm in the front seat with him. He's in the back seat. You know, it's really dark. It's stormy. It's rainy. Great ambiance. And we're getting naked and tapes coming off of nipples. And not my nipples. But anyway, and all the confusion in the melee and, girls going back and forth. My buddy accidentally kind of, like massaged my nipple a little bit with his tongue by accident.
Oh my freaking God! Are you serious?
That would be good for maybe next Wednesday if I could get this guy to call in and recount the story and see if he'll anyway.
I have so many questions. Number one, did these girls get in the car because they knew you?
No, they were totally random girls. My college was about 2 or 3 hours away from my buddies. It was one night I had talked a gas station owner into selling me a suitcase of beer, and nobody, it was like a Tuesday night, nobody was down to throw down, which was insane. So I went all the way to my buddy's college, and we're just riding around with this suitcase, and we get to a stoplight, and these cute girls pull up beside us, and I just give them the roll down motion, and I lift up the suitcase, and I'm just like, next thing you know, it went on.
Jesus, man, that's so, man. So
that was my glory days. So I'm still in my glory days, but that was a good.
Jesus, those girls. Thank God you weren't like psychotic murderers or something.
Well, I mean, we were college kids. They were college kids. It was,
Yeah, I guess. I don't know, man.
And I mean, we were so just alluring.
And so how was this happening? So were you guys both in the front seat with like a girl in your lap or something? I mean,
no, there was just bodies going everywhere.
How did he get into the back seat where you were and mistakenly get his lips on your? Do you think perhaps he was just a little bisexual and was seeing where you would you would take it? Because
no, believe me, that was not the case.
I mean, I've been in that situation. You're with a girl in the back seat, and then your buddy's in the front seat with a girl, and it never at one point did. I mean, there's nothing wrong if that's his thing, but I'm just curious.
In the dark, man. Freaky things happen in the dark.
How dark was?
It was dark, son.
That's the best sex story I believe I've heard from any of my friends, and I've heard some wild ones.
Well, like I said, I would love to get him on the phone sometime, and we can recount this and see if he's willing to cop to the events as they happened. But
Dear
anyway.
Lord, that was amazing. Brianne, thank you for asking that question. I am so glad that I now know that.
Yeah, thank you, Brianne. Create Till Death 5 days ago. Yes, Last Man on Earth was good. Got better each season. Such a shame they canceled it. And on a cliffhanger, too.
Yeah, it was a really good show, man.
Yeah,
I agree. It did get better by season.
Yeah, I was in a similar situation. Bored to Death, one of my favorite shows. HBO canceled it after, I think, the third season, and it ended on a cliffhanger.
I hate that show. What is it? Damnation. It came on like FX maybe or show. I can't remember what network, but it's on Netflix. And it was really, really good, but only one season, and it left on somewhat of a cliffhanger. I mean, there was some resolution, but there was still a big cliffhanger, and then they just canceled it.
Create Till Death goes on to say, mail call. What would you do? What would you do? Scenario: you go to work one day, and everyone there acts as if they don't know you, or don't know who you are, and they turn you away. You go to friends and relatives' houses, and they don't recognize you. It's as if you never existed. What do you do? This is like a Twilight Zone episode.
I mean, really, what could you do other than try to get to the bottom of it? I think first thing I would try to go find some kind of constant. Like I would try to go find something that would connect me to a time when everyone, you know what I mean?
Yeah, man, I would.
Like maybe pictures. Like in this world, do the pictures of like me and my friends still exist? I mean, or have things? Has time itself been affected or? Because that's a good question. Because with that scenario, man, I don't know. like if items that if everything is still left as it is, just these people's memories are wiped, then I mean, I would go try to find something to be like, this is you and I. Like, your name is Justin Parrish. You blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean?
That was kind of Wally West scenario in the new like DC continuity after Rebirth. But, now, I'd be relieved, man. I'd go start a new life in Botswana or something. I don't know.
That is true. So does that mean
just a totally fresh start?
Does that mean like debt collectors will forget you too?
That's what I'm hoping.
If so, then I'm with JP. You know what? I might just go start a new life.
Yeah, let's make this happen.
Head down to the coast and live the good life. What would your new name be?
Jasper Radsaw. That's my pseudonym anyway. But
that's dope.
Yeah. Jeep. 5 days ago. I think Negan will take Rick's place from the comic. I could totally see him backsliding back into his old Negan ways once he sees the Commonwealth and getting himself shot because of it. I actually saw something close to what you saw, Justin, about 30 years ago. I was leaving work one night, looked up, and there was a weird trail of light. Way too long and quiet to be a plane or a helicopter, and way too close together to be several of them following each other. It ranks as one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen. I don't do Amazon anymore. Someone hacked my account. And just going back to that, is she talking about something you had said or something I had said?
Something I had said. Because I had said I was headed from where I lived in, when I was going from town, and I lived here but was still hanging out in my old town. I said one night I was leaving and I was going down a highway and it almost looked like those lanterns that people light and float.
I do remember that.
But it couldn't have been what that was because they were all they were all evenly spaced.
Right.
It really looked like it was part of something big and it was going and it was fairly low. Like I couldn't see the structure. I could see the lights, but they were low and there was no noise. I mean, it honestly was what I would describe as almost eerily quiet because I pulled over into the median and looked at it for a second, and then I put it on Facebook and was like, anybody else? And I had a few people go, I saw that too. I thought it was lanterns.
Yeah, because I know I talked about that green thing I saw falling out the sky on my way home from work.
So Jeep, I'm glad to know I'm not alone on that.
Yeah, and she just goes on to say that her Amazon account was hacked and had to file a dispute with the bank and the debit card and all this stuff. And her mail call is, has anyone ever hacked anything of yours? And I'll just say, knock on wood, no.
Yes.
So far. Oh, yeah?
I've had several times I've been hacked. Luckily, nothing crazy. I did have one time I was at Disney World. I was out in Orlando at Disney World, and the bank called me to let me know that they thought my stuff had been hacked. And I was like, well, let me check my app real quick because I am traveling, so maybe that's what it is. No, somebody jacked $100 from my bank account and donated it to a church. A church out in Texas.
That sounds
I kid you not. Yeah. But and I've had I had one time I had like $3. I had a $3 charge to something I couldn't pronounce and I got that back. So I've been hacked, but nothing crazy. Fortunately, I've never had nobody hack my account and just clear me out,
Yeah, man, I've been lucky. No one, like I said, knock on wood, nobody's hit me yet.
I keep a close eye on it, though, man. I check my bank account pretty much daily. Look at transactions just because, it's easy to – and I feel like the longer ago it was, the harder it'll be to dispute it. So I feel like if I catch it, on the go, then I can get it refunded.
All right. Glorious 5 days ago. Justin, your travel story is scary. Mail call. Do you guys have any comic book / graphic novel recommendations for a novice? I got into the Walking Dead comics around the time the series premiered because I love zombies / horror, and I was mind blown that they were becoming mainstream, but that's as far as I've gone into comics. Also, do you think you guys will be doing more video game playthroughs? I know JP isn't a big video game player, but his commentary when he did play was hilarious.
Guys, I've been trying for years to get JP to come down and play some video games for the podcast channel. He just has no interest in it.
Yeah, they give me a headache.
But
I also like the Resident Evil videos because I'm too chicken to play those kind of games, but I enjoy other people's reactions. Thanks, guys. You rock.
I loved making the Resident Evil videos, so I am glad that you enjoyed them. I really wish I've beat that game about 9 times now, so maybe I'll do a live stream and just try to run through it real quick so you can get the whole game. Because I had just gotten it, and I kind of like you with shows. When I get a new game, I don't want to look up tips, tricks. I want to explore it and learn it myself. And now that I've now I can go into the police station, and if you watched or played that game, you know what I'm talking about. And basically, I can triggering Mr. X is one of the last things I do, so I'm actually able to run around the police station fairly easy, whereas when I first started playing, he showed up, and it was just like, I don't want to play no more. This guy's a tank.
Yeah.
But no, and comic books, he likes, I mean, I would say Why the Last Man would be a good one to check out. It's not zombies, but it's definitely a really cool story.
If you're into horror comics, Crossed, it's a Garth Ennis book from, I don't know, like 10 years ago. It's a really, really crazy, it's a good read. Read Crossed, and a lot of other authors have done various runs on it.
Pick up Gideon Falls. Like that's on issue 14 or 13 now. So I mean, there's probably a couple of volumes of the trade available. So the Gideon Falls, that's one of my favorite comics out right now. I mean, it's awesome. And then also, it's not horror, but if you want a graphic novel, something that's not your cliche kind of campy hero stuff, get Black Hammer. That's kind of a really cool spin on a lot of heroes, but it's really good. Leaves you guessing. It's really good. Yeah.
Black Hammer's good.
JP turned
Saga's
me on to that
really
one.
good. If you love zombies, and it's actually only a couple issues in, Deceased, which we've been reading. That's been really good.
It's kind of like DC's take on Marvel Zombies in a way. Not their take, but I mean, it reminds me a lot of, But,
yeah, hey, I like this even better so far.
Oh, yeah, it's pretty good. 2 issues in, but both issues have been kick-ass. I think it's going to be a six-issue series.
I think so, yeah.
You could probably just wait and get the whole thing in a trade if you want, or you could probably head to your local comic shop and pick up the first 2 issues.
That's true. Do it.
But yeah, let us know if any of those float you. But I'll tell you something, it's not complete yet. And I mean, this is kind of off subject, but did you read Little Bird? Have you caught up on that yet?
No, I'm not. I read the first one, but I'm not caught up on it.
Dude, you're missing out, man. Yeah. That is so good. Like, I just read the 4th issue last night. I think it's only going to be like 5 of them.
Oh, is number 4 out?
Oh, yeah, that came out yesterday.
Look at okay, I need to go pick that up. I've got the first 3.
Oh, yeah, it came out yesterday. Oh, man, the 4th one was so... The third, like, the first one I liked. The second one was pretty good. The 3rd and the 4th were both stellar. Like, I absolutely... The art in them I like is so dreamy and abstract.
Yeah.
But that's one that you could probably go to your local comic shop, and it's only going to be 4 or 5 issues. It's like a short run. I think it's 5 or 6 issues. But Little Bird, that's another good one. Ascender, that's one I'm reading if you want kind of that sci-fi feel. Ascender, because that's based off of Descender, which I didn't read. You read, though, right?
No, I haven't read it. I haven't
you didn't
even
read
Ascender yet.
It's basically kind of like a follow-up to Descender, which was another Jeff Lemire title, but they said you don't have to have read Descender to like Ascender, and I'm digging it. So, yeah, hopefully one of those will be your next favorite.
Yeah, there you go. Heidi L, 5 days ago. I did listen to Change of Heart and some other song. Can't remember anymore which one. It was days ago. Sounded much better than the first song I heard.
They do have some depressing stuff, but they have a lot more upbeat stuff, I think, than they do depressing stuff.
Some weird or funny facts about your country. Something that isn't common knowledge around the world. They don't have to be national stuff. They can also be local things. Here's something about Finland. People here love weird competitions. We have wife-carrying world championships, world cell phone throwing championships, mosquito swatting championships, ant nest sitting competition, World Cup in snowshoe soccer, sauna world championships, swamp soccer, world championships, and cattle calling championships. Not sure if I remember correctly, but also milking stool throwing contests and rubber boot throwing championships. That's some wild stuff.
I don't think we can have anything that interesting. I mean, you have like little traditions and stuff. I mean, like, is it here or is it another country where people chase the wheel down a hill? Is that in another country or here?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I mean, here we climb on the backs of bulls, which I think they do in other countries too.
Yeah, what?
It's hard to with America though, because we're such a melting pot of different cultures and stuff that I feel like most of the stuff that we do, came from another country. You know what I'm saying? Like, bullfighting. Would that originate like in Spain, or it's very big in Spain? No. Not the way that the others do. Some people like straight up kill the bull. Yeah. We have like rodeos where people
would go crazy.
Yeah, we have it where people like distract the bull and make him run by. I mean, I know we've got something.
Bullfighting is gruesome, man.
It is.
They exhaust the bulls on its last leg before it even gets in the arena.
Yeah, I don't support it. Like I remember, and I mean that's coming from somebody that hunts. Like I hunt, but it's just cruel. Like At some point, you almost end up like rooting for the bull. Like when you see the guy with the bullhorn up his ass, you're like, well, that's what you get for trying to.
I think George Carlin actually had a bit about that. But Heidi, we'll let us give that some thought. We'll try to think of some weird stuff that goes on around here and get back to you on it. Dan Ashdown, our old pal from Britain, 2 days ago. That's cool, boys. I passed out talking about the last
drinking
week.
game.
Yeah. Passed out about half hour after messaging you anyway because I'd done a full bottle of JD Honey and talking about Jack Daniels and like 8 beers in the space of a few hours. We should do a drinking game podcast when we all get time. Yeah, I'd be down for that. I think you would be as well. I know you're a Jack Daniels Honey man as well. So
I'm a Jack Daniels Honey man.
Yeah, Jack Daniels Honey man. Oh, man. I wonder if Dan picked up the Jack based off your recommendation.
I don't know. Maybe so. That sounds like a sexy crime fighter.
Yeah.
What did you say? What did you call it? JD Honeyman.
Yeah. You're Jack Daniels Honeyman.
It's like, stop. Oh, God. It's Jack Daniels Honeyman.
It's the Honeyman. Look out.
The Honeyman can.
He's going to stick to you. Oh, Lord in heaven.
He's going to get you drunk as shit. Excuse my language.
All right, Scrate 85. Justin, that was the worst attempt at a British accent I've ever heard.
I told you.
I can't remember.
I can't either, but I know. Well, I do, but I don't remember exactly what I said, but I had said that it was going to be terrible.
Yeah. Corey Andros. Sup, my dudes?
Sup?
Finally catching up on vids this week. Nice to see a supersized length mail call this week. Double horns. Right back at you, buddy. And finally, the Paranormal Podcast. I've been waiting for this. Mail call. Have you guys ever heard of the Russian sleep experiment? If you haven't, you should check it out.
Yes.
I feel like we were talking about this off mic the other day.
I feel like that was though that was just a fictional story though.
Oh, really?
Because that's the one where the guy basically they wouldn't let him sleep, and then the guy ends up seeing God or whatever. Like they blind him and do all kinds of crazy stuff. But I thought that it came out that was just actually like a fictional story. But then again, if they did do horrendous things like that to people, they probably would want you to think it's fiction.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people have messed with sleep deprivation. A lot of it's like, borderline torture, like Saddam Hussein. He'd mess people up big time. But
oh, yeah.
No, we should look into that further. And speaking of the Paranormal Podcast, did you get up with Jesse
I did.
last night?
We had a good podcast. Now, that's going to be episode 2, I believe. Once we get a third or fourth one, we'll start releasing them. They're only going to be like 5 or 6. Now, we'll warn you, if you're into the Paranormal Podcast, 2 things, which I very much enjoyed podcasting with Jesse. But our podcast, Jesse's had a lot of ghost and spirit, and Jesse's a very spiritual person. So she's into like things like crystals and sage and all of that. But nothing terrifying has happened to her. It's all been positive for the most part. But nonetheless, if you like supernatural, paranormal stories, we're not here to cover just the scary paranormal stuff. We're talking about, everything paranormal in these podcasts, anything from ghosts to UFOs to angels, whatever paranormal experience these people have. But it actually was really good. Now, we recorded that in my basement in the man cave, and we had to share a mic. So the sound quality might not be as good as you've become accustomed to here on the podcast. But it's still fine. You can hear us both great. And I kind of tweaked the audio to make it a little bit better. But we got a little off track a couple times. But bear in mind that Jesse and I have been good friends for decades, and we haven't, we don't get to see each other that often. So we try to get it out of our system before we podcast. But it was about an hour-long discussion.
Nice.
And I'd say like 70% of it is about supernatural stuff or me asking her questions. She said she kind of wished you were there just because she feels like you would try to shut her down.
Yeah, I know she's into a lot of like mystical stuff, and it's weird. She's one of those people who's, like Christian, has her kids involved in the church and stuff. And I know most like conservative Christians around here, anything like you talk about burning sage or spirits or anything, they consider that, pretty heretical, I guess you could say.
Yeah, she, I told her, I was like, I could sit here and pick you apart, but then this would be a pointless paranormal podcast. Like, the point is to let you tell your story and let people who share the passion for this kind of thing hear your story. If I'm interrupting you every couple of seconds to cut you off and break down each thing, then...
Yeah, it's one of those things. When someone's giving their firsthand account, I wasn't there. How am I going to, say what may or may not have happened?
Right.
So,
Like we actually talked, it was pretty cool. It's a pretty cool discussion. I discussed with her. We were talking about like I was like, what is the possibility you think that instead of spirits, it could be like trans-dimensional beings? You know what I mean? Like maybe there isn't like an afterlife, or even if there is an afterlife, like these aren't spirits, but more so they are beings from another dimension who are, maybe just more advanced than we are, and they can, make their way to our world and mess with us and whatever. And it was a good discussion. Jesse's a lot of fun.
Yeah, man. Look forward to hearing that.
Yep, that'll be episode 2. Mine was episode 1. Jesse's was episode 2. Hopefully Matt Crowder will be episode 3. You need to get on the horn with your guy that was abducted by an alien, the one that wrote the book about it.
Yeah, Barry, need to get up with him. Dan Ashdown, we need to get him on the line.
And that would be our 6, right? Me, Jesse, Matt. Well, no, that'd be 5, so we need one more. But once we get like one more, we'll start releasing them on Fridays. Like each Friday, we'll release a new one.
Yeah, there you go. All right, last but certainly not least, Rain DeVos, 21 hours ago. Hey, guys, how are you? I'm doing all right. You doing all right?
I've been better.
Yeah, me too. My girlfriend has always wanted to drive in a muscle car on a racetrack. Now I've given her a race experience for her birthday.
Nice.
To make her dream come true. It's a jam-packed day where she gets to drive a Porsche 911, a Formula Renault, and some other cool stuff. But now the date is drawing near, and she's starting to become a bit scared of the idea and wondering if she actually wants to go through with it. Now, I've got 2 mail call questions regarding that. Have you ever driven a race car before, and what was it like? 2, have you ever wanted to do something that seemed awesome at first, but you chickened out of it when you got there?
Yes and maybe.
I've never driven a race car. My mom bought like the Richard Petty racing experience for her boyfriend like 15 years ago, and I know that was really cool, but I've never done it myself.
I rode with Kyle Busch around Martinsville Speedway for like 10 laps.
Yeah.
Like full speed, pedal to the metal. I'm going to tell you, when those things take off, man, your stomach goes out your ass. It's ridiculous. Imagine. But, I used to fix up cars, and I've driven on VIR. There was a thing where you could, like, for charity, you could pay money and do your thing, which I don't know. Did I drive that? I've been to that, but I can't remember if I've driven my car on the drag strip and stuff. Like we've done, like, I can't remember if I actually drove on VIR or if I just attended, because that would have been in my late teens.
International Raceway.
Yeah. We have a lot of celebrities come to that.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's like a pretty big deal, right?
Oh yeah. Like you can pay on their charity days and take your car around the track. But tell her she's gonna be fine, because the thing is that she's gonna be with instructors, and they're not gonna let her do anything reckless. You know what I mean? And if you're at one of those courses where they will, maybe don't go to that course.
Yeah, and I'm sure he's dropped a lot of money into that, so hopefully she does go through.
Yeah, I tell her I think she'll be fine. And look, we don't, how we handle fear and, how we handle things that we fear and all of that, it determines who we are as a person. So tell her that if she can face her fear and get through it, then I promise it'll be such a rewarding experience. Just like I say that, but I have yet to skydive. Skydiving, I can't say that I have chickened out of it. That's why I said maybe. Like, I've always wanted to skydive, but I've never went to skydive. And I know part of it's because I don't want to. I just want to conquer that. So, yes, kind of, but it's not like I've gotten into the air and been like, no, I'm not doing this, but I just have never signed up for it. So, yeah, kind of. I want to skydive to do that, but I just don't know that I can bring myself to.
I've definitely been in that situation. I was I think we were like 19 maybe, and we were all going and exploring this old abandoned mill. It's actually one they tore down. It's been a few years. It's been torn down, but we go and we explore the first building, and then we're getting ready to explore the other like entire complex. And it wasn't that I was scared of exploring; it's that I had like a suspended 12-month jail sentence over my head, and I was afraid, if we did get caught, my probation would be screwed, and I'd be in a lot of trouble. So I wasn't afraid of the experience; I was afraid of
the possible consequences,
basically. Yeah, but it's.
So you didn't go through with it?
Like I said, I went through the first building with them, but then when they wanted to go through the rest of the complex, I was just like, I'm going to sit it out. So, and I wasn't quite as brazen at 19, unless I'd had a bunch of booze. But yeah, it's sad, man. They said it was just amazing what they saw, and now that mill's gone forever. So.
Yeah, I feel you on that. Probation's nothing to play with.
Nah.
So moving into other videos, We've got a couple of different mail calls. So from Eternal Wreck on yesterday's podcast, hashtag mail call, do you think Heath will ever return to The Walking Dead? Yeah, but I think he'll be in the Rick movies.
Right.
Because he got pretty much taken by the people that took Rick. I think that we'll see him in the Rick. They say the actor's just really busy. It's hard to nail him down to, I think they wanted to originally bring him back to the show, but it just scheduling didn't work out. So from what I've read, I'm pretty sure he'll probably be in at least one of the Rick movies. Probably in the first one.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I'd be lying if I said I even cared at this point. I was never really a character I really cared too much about to begin with.
No.
So, they bring him back, fine. If not, whatever.
Let's see. Alex Jimenez says, mail call, does it bother you that they've barely shown the wheelchair guy and trucker lady? I like those characters. It gets annoying seeing everyone split up all the time. Still love the show. Yeah, I agree. I'm with you. It does get annoying. The whole split up thing is just kind of...
Yeah, I'm a little burnt out on that as well. I kind of wish they'd cut some dead weight and just have a really tight core group and, work with that.
Mm-hmm. And just follow them, right?
Right, give us Strand and Daniel, Morgan, John Dory, Alicia, of course. Just give us like a really strong core group of characters. I do get tired of getting bounced around between like this huge group that's always split up.
Right. Yeah. Brianne McCann says, she did this one on our Trending Tuesday. She said, can we transfer those small tapes of video onto DVD or something so I can watch them today? I have so many old videos I'd love to watch. Answer this one on mail call. If you're talking about like the little cassette tapes like JP was talking about from camcorders, yeah, they do have little things you can buy. I think they used to have them at Walmart. I don't know if they still do, but you put a cassette tape, you'd have to get, I guess, an adapter for the little tape, but you put it in a cassette and then it records it over onto a DVD.
Yeah, and I can't remember what I used to have, but it was an adapter for your computer.
That's what, I had that too.
AV plugs, yeah, and you could just download the video right on your computer. And
that would be the safer bet too. DVDs can get wiped, they can get broken. Yeah. Like the smart thing would be get the adapter to plug it into a computer and then like save it onto flash drives or like a big external hard drive or something, and then make a backup copy of that so that you have them.
Yep.
But let's see, is there anything else? AH was talking about, no disrespect, but road trips are trips where you drive so you know the roads. Basically what we were talking about was that, a lot of our overseas listeners are always like, well, if I come to America, what should I visit? And we never know what to tell them.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, hey, that North Carolina, Virginia road trip would be great. And what he's saying is, but they're not from here. AH, what I'm talking about, I get what you're saying. Like it requires driving. They don't know the roads, but you can, rent cars here. Mm-hmm. With Google Maps and stuff, it's really not hard to. Also, too, what I was thinking too was more along the lines like Ubers. You can get Ubers to take you place to place. You know what I mean? Like, if you wanted to take a road trip, because like when we go to other countries, we end up taking like road trips. You know what I mean? You might use public transportation, but you go from one city to another, and people like backpack across Europe. They'll hitch rides and stuff like that.
At this point, who doesn't have GPS on their phone? I mean,
right?
I don't know.
Yeah. So if you ever want to come to America and do that road trip, I think it could happen. But I see what you're saying. But let's see. Jeep was just telling me that I might love Myrtle Beach and Ocean Lakes, but that I would not want to live there because she does live in that area, and she says that it sucks to live there. So you're probably right. It probably is just best to leave it as a vacation destination, so it's always perfect in my mind.
Yeah, like I said, I think I'd rather, if I was going to move like coastal Carolina, it'd probably be Wilmington.
It's a cool little town. I think Jeep said Wilmington's starting to suck, though.
Oh, man. I hate to hear that.
I can't remember. I might be wrong on that. But let's see. I think that's it. I think that is. Do it? I think that's all of the mail call questions. So be listening we've got 2 paranormal podcasts recorded, which is like I need to go figure out where the one we recorded with Aaron is and what I labeled it as. But we've got 2 of them recorded and ready to go. Once we get a third one, which will probably be our buddy Matt Crowder, then we'll start releasing them. That'll give us a little flexibility. So if we do have like a week where nobody can come in, we still have something to put out. Let's see. Is there anything else to go over with you before we wrap up for the week? We won't see you until Monday.
That's true.
Sorry, I'm stretching and yawning. It's just
feels good.
It's though, early. It does. I'm still really tired, but
I'm getting really hungry.
I've been out of it this podcast. Yeah, we need to go get some food. Some food. But, so as you can tell, we're both zonked out and just tired. It's been an exhausting couple of weeks. But we will catch you on Monday for our Fear the Walking Dead review and discussion. Before we go, JP, let them know where they can find you on social media.
Oh, yeah.
Pull up the Patreon. Pull up the Patreon, too, so we can do the Patreon shout-out.
Oh, right. Yeah, right on. Yeah, I hope you have a pen and paper handy. You can find me on Instagram, which I hardly ever use, J_Radsaw. You can find me on Periscope, JPSLIM, just like it sounds, JPSLIM, JPSLIM. And on Snapchat, JP5000, JAYPEA 5000. Boom.
And mine's a little bit easier. If you can remember one name, you can find me on 3 different platforms. I'm Justin Lloyd, all lowercase, no apostrophes, 2 L's in Lloyd, just I'm Justin Lloyd. And that'll get you Snapchat, Instagram, and Periscope. And so, JP, let's give a Patreon shout-out to all of our awesome patrons.
All right. Alex Jimenez, longtime listener and our first Patreon. Dan Ashdown, of course. Vixie Bixie, my pal in New Zealand. Derek Patterson, Jeffrey Gannell, or Gosnell, I don't know. Nancy McKnight, Kate, Glorious, and John Hale. We love you.
We love you to death.
And we're looking for new patrons simply because we want to grow the channel. We want better equipment. We want cool merch. So, jump on board.
Merch and video cameras are probably the 2 biggest things that we need, even more so than a laptop. Like we need, which I have a laptop, but my laptop's just not built for editing. I had a video editing laptop long ago, and I kind of got out of video editing, and now this has brought me back. And I wish I wouldn't have sold it now because I'm like, well, now I'm kind of back into it. But the main 2 things that we want to get is decent cameras, merch, and then like a decent laptop so that we can improve the quality. Not a penny goes into our pockets that's not spent on something for this podcast. And if you become a patron, we're at 9, so we only have 11 more to go. Mm-hmm. Once we get to 20, we come in. This was all JP's idea, so kudos to JP. We're doing this really cool prize pack. I mean, it's going to have well over $100 worth of stuff in it. Things that are related to The Walking Dead, things that might be related to other stuff, just kind of a care package that's going to have a lot of things that kind of encompass us, things we talk about, things we're into, stuff like that here on the podcast.
Yeah, and believe us, once we get some cool swag, stickers and stuff, we'll be sending it to the Patreons, to the patrons. Whoever wants it, we'll just be getting addresses. So, like I said, we with a lot of cool stuff coming down the pike.
Oh, yeah, the stickers are really cool. Stickers and shirts, I think, are going to be the coolest 2 things.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we need to get on the sticker train. That's not too expensive.
It's not expensive at all. We just have to get a logo. Get some logos made, yeah. But once we do that, if anybody out there can draw or is good, if you want to try to make us a logo, like a generic logo to pass around and put on shirts and stuff, if you give us one and we like it and we keep it, we'll give you some free merch. Yep. I think that's a fair trade, right? Like if we use it, then we'll give you one of each thing that we put it on.
Sure enough.
So just a thought, but we will catch you on Monday for the Fear the Walking Dead review and discussion. I think I'm going to go take a nap. I'm Justin.
And I'm JP.
And we are the Podcasting Dead. Yep.